Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. Long time no video. To my returning subscribers, thank you so much for clicking on these videos, and to my new subscriber, thank you so much for subscribing to this channel. My name is Sweetie. I'm a registered nurse in Nigeria, and on this space you will find content relating to nursing, lifestyle and personal development. I feel like I have committed a huge crime because this video should have been up on my channel very long time before now, and I just want to apologize to some of my subscribers that have been expecting this video. In today's video, I'm going to be sharing and talking about two study techniques that I feel like every student shouldn't sleep on, because I think it is a game changer that would help and improve your grades. And personally for me, I use these two study techniques and I was able to move from a second class skill to a first class skill during my final time as a student. So today I'm going to be talking about these two study routines, study techniques in details. I will basically share practical guidelines and steps that you can apply into your study routines and how you can use them. I would also share additional information here on YouTube that I think you should check out to deepen your understanding about these two study techniques and how to use them individually. The very first one is called Pomodoro study technique. Pomodoro study technique is more of a time management and productivity tool, not only for students but also for individuals. Aside using it to study, it can also be applied into your everyday tasks. I feel like everybody is a victim of this, myself inclusive, where you plan to study for, let's say, 4 hours, and at the end of the day when you evaluate yourself, you realize that out of that 4 hours you've only actually studied for 1 hour, and let's say the remaining 3 hours you probably used it to while away time to do non-study related things like checking the internet and mostly winding time with our smartphone. And that is what Pomodoro study technique tries to solve. It helps to eliminate distractions and helps to increase your focus, especially when you are studying. And it is also very helpful to students or individuals that have a lot of responsibilities aside school work. It helps you to just find that balance to do all your tasks and take away every feeling of anxiety or overwhelmness that comes with a lot of responsibility. Another advantage of using this in your study routine is for those especially that would love to or are struggling with short attention span when it comes to studying for a long period of time. Pomodoro study technique is that technique that would help you and build your muscle to build your attention span, especially when it comes to studying for a long period of time. Now let's talk about the guidelines underlying this study technique. It basically entails you setting a timer for 25 minutes, and during that 25-minute period you are going to be studying or engaging in a task with zero distractions and ensuring that your focus is 100% on what you are doing. After the 25-minute timer have elapsed, you set another 5-minute timer, a 5-minute break to rest from the studying and prepare for the next study session. This time run of 25 minutes on distracted work with 5 minutes rest, altogether making 30 minutes, is what we call a Pomodoro. So you study for 25 minutes and you take a break of 5 minutes. Traditionally you are expected to do 4 Pomodoro sessions. After taking 4 Pomodoro sessions, you then go ahead to take a longer break of 30 minutes. The fun part about this studying technique, even though the common and the traditional Pomodoros is taking 25-minute study session and taking a break of 5 minutes, you can actually tweak it and be flexible with it and elongate the study session to be as long as taking a 45-minute study session with 15-minute break, or 50-minute study session with 10-minute break, or even as long as 1 hour with 5-minute break or 10-minute break. The fun part is for you to be flexible with it, but I would advise for anybody that is struggling with studying for a long period of time and having distractions issue, I would advise you to start with the basic and traditional method, which is studying for 25 minutes without distractions and taking a 5-minute break. Other additional information that I think is important for you to know is that for you to benefit maximally from this study technique, the very first thing you need to do is to be very specific with what you want to study. Once you've identified your study material, you can be very realistic. Try to be very realistic and try to estimate how many hours you think you can study your note or finish the particular note or slide in question. So after identifying the number of hours, estimated hours that you think you can finish studying a particular material, you then divide that material into the Pomodoro. Once you've divided the materials into the Pomodoros, you are starting with a mindset of knowing what to do and when you are going to finish. Other things that you need once you want to use this study technique is getting a timer. At this point, you know that you will need a timer, so you can either get a digital timer or use the timer on your phone, as long as your phone will not distract you. And also you can get a small jotter where you would use to track the pomodoros that is required for you to finish that particular note, as well as the long break that you are going to take. Don't forget that it will require you for you to do 4 pomodoros with a longer break of 30 minutes. Then you will now begin another cycle. Another thing that you can do to benefit you is to go on Google Play and check out. There are various apps on Google Play, Pomodoro's app, that can help you in terms of setting timer for a study session, knowing when to take short breaks, and also knowing when to take your longer breaks. Another thing you need to take note of is that the purpose of the break is for you to relax, is for your brain to relax, and also for your brain to process the materials that you have studied and prepare for the next study session. So to benefit from this study technique, it's very important that during your break, try as much as possible to engage in relaxing activities. Example could be watching TV, responding to your emails, taking a walk, or drinking water. Personally, whenever I use the Pomodoro study techniques, as a student, because I have a lot of responsibilities aside school, what I do most times is to schedule my other responsibilities in between the breaks, so that I'm able to, like, at the end of the day, I must have like achieved 100% of my tasks. So for example, on a typical Saturday, what I do most times is that I start reading very early using the Pomodoro study technique. Most times I don't do 25 minutes, I do 15 minutes. So during the 10-minute breaks, I do that. I use the 10-minute break for toilet break or to quickly brush my teeth or wash my plate. Then the longer breaks of 30 minutes, 45 minutes, I use it to do my laundry, catch up with my message, or do other tasks that is not school related. The second study technique is more of a two-in-one, and it is the active recall and space repetition study technique. These two study techniques, they are two different entities, but you mostly use them together. That is why they are joined together, and I would explain them individually, then explain how you can use both of them together. So starting with the active recall study technique, unlike the Pomodoro study technique, which is more of a productivity and time management tool, the active recall study technique, just from the name, is a technique that requires you to actively recall information so that you can retain them in the long-term memory of your brain. When you actively recall information, the end goal is that you are able to recollect the information, especially during tests and examination period, and also apply them rightly. And average students mostly would read their notes passively and we keep on rereading until the day of the examination, and that is actually very ineffective, because you realize that during your exam you cannot recollect the whole information, or worst case scenario, you wrongly apply the information, which at the end would affect the grade you get at the end of the day. That is the problem that active recall tries to solve. When you use the active recall study technique, you trigger what we call the testing effect theory of the brain, which states that when you try to actively recall information from your brain, that particular information tends to stay in the long-term memory of your brain. So basically, what active recall study technique is all about, unlike when you use one study method to study your notes, which is passively reading that note, active recall entails you using different study methods to study a particular note or particular information. So for the purpose of this video, I'm going to be highlighting 7 different types of study methods that you can use when you are using the active recall study technique. bearing in mind that depending on the nature of the course or whatever you are studying, some of this study method might not be applicable. The first one is you passively reading that particular study material. So doing that, what the purpose of passively reading is just to get an overview of the information and what it is all about. The second study method is the use of flashcards. It is either you make your own flashcards or you check out digital flashcards relating to the topic that you are studying on Google. Then the third study method is you reading in chunks and trying to summarize what you've read of it and writing them in your own language or in simpler terms that you can understand. So to buttress this, is what you are doing is that you divide your notes into sections or into paragraphs, and after reading a particular paragraph you close your notes and try to write and explain the paragraph that you have read in your own words, so that when you are rereading the note, it will be easier to understand. The fourth study method is the use of mind graphs or diagram. The fifth one, which is actually one of my favorite study methods that I use most of the time, is making use of self-made past questions. So what this entails is that after studying a particular note or a particular topic, you try to come up with questions by yourself, self-made questions. So depending on the nature of the examination that you're preparing for, you try to make similar questions based on what you've read. So if your examination is going to be MCQ or theory, when you are reading that particular note, try to make self-made theory related questions, self-made MCQ related questions. You get the picture, right? Next, the sixth study method is the use of past questions. These past questions are not self-made past questions, but they are past questions that have been provided by the lecturer in question or by your school. The seventh study method is you teaching someone or talking to someone about what you've read. So it might not be necessarily you talking to someone. You can actually just pick an object or pick your teddy or something, just or even make video records or audio record of what you've read. Talking about the second entity, which is the spaced repetition. What spaced repetition entails is you studying a particular note or information at spaced intervals. To further explain that, what you are doing whenever you use spaced repetition is that single material that you are studying, you are going to be studying them at spaced interval. You would study on day one, then after day one, the next time you study the material is 3 days after. After that, you study 1 week after. After 1 week, you study 1 month. You study every 2 weeks. Then 1 month after, until the period of your examination, where you will not set a timetable for revision and just going through all the materials all over from the beginning to the end. Combining active recall and spaced repetition, when you merge these two together, what that entails is that you are studying a particular note and information using different study methods at spaced intervals. Let me give you an example on how I use these two study techniques when I want to study. When I was in school, one of the course I did in school was med surg, and let's say a particular module of that course is the musculoskeletal system. So on this particular day, or the lecturer taught on the musculoskeletal system, anatomy, physiology, nursing management, pharmacological management of the musculoskeletal system. So if I want to study this material in anticipation for the examination, this is how I'm going to study, using the active recall and spaced repetition. On the day the lecturer gave this lecture, I'm just going to do a quick revision after class, going through all of what the lecturer taught, and also trying to just watch videos online to just get an overview of what the course or the topic is all about. So you see that I have used the passive reading method first. This is on the first day. And on the third day, this is when I will start my intense reading. So I will most likely use the reading in paragraphs and be writing and summarizing what I've read in my own words. So on this third day, what I'll do is to get all the materials that I will need to read, then try to estimate the number of hours that is required for me to finish that particular course. And bear in mind, I'm going to be using the Pomodoro study technique so that I would eliminate distraction and be focused while reading, because this would help with my retention. I actually not use 24 hours. I might actually use maybe 2 days or 3 days stretch to try to finish that material, but I'm going to be using the reading in paragraphs and rewriting, summarizing in my own word study method. I'm actually use another study method of setting my own questions. So let's say for this particular course, the examination type will most likely be MCQ and theory. So as I'm reading the material, I'm going to be making MCQ self-related, self-made questions, and also theory self-made questions as I'm reading the material. This is what I will do on the let's say third, fourth, and fifth day of studying this material. Then 1 week after, what I'm going to do is, when I'm revising this note, is firstly going through the self-made questions that I have formulated, and try to answer them off my head without checking the note. Doing this would help me identify the areas that I have understood perfectly and the areas that I need to go back to and try to understand deeper what the concept is talking about. And basically, once I use these self-made questions and try to answer off my head, I'll be able to identify the areas that I understand and the areas I don't understand, and the areas that's my weak points that I need to go back to and reread and deepen my understanding on. And what I can do to just help categorize the notes is to use color code. So while trying to answer the questions, once I identify the areas where I understand perfectly and there was no difficulty trying to recollect the information, I can color code that particular paragraph or that particular section green, which means that, oh, I know this information and I just need to just revise passively and not revise actively, because that information has stuck. Then the areas where I'm like, I know a bit but I still need to study more, I can categorize that section orange. Then the areas where it was very difficult to remember answer and very difficult for me to remember, where I am missing up the information, I would categorize that area color red. So what that basically means is that I need to focus more in this particular aspect to be able to confidently answer any questions that come out from this particular topic on the day of the examination or on the test day. So next time I'm going to be coming across this material is, let's say, 2 weeks later or 5 days later, and what I am going to be focusing my attention on is the section where I've color coded red and orange, because those are the areas where I still need to perfect and build up on. I hope you get the picture. It's what I will keep doing for each note and each study materials till when it's close to the day of the examination. And during the examination period, what I'll most likely be doing is revising my notes and going through my past questions, trying to answer them again, and also going through past questions that has been provided by the school or the lecturer. Finally, it is very important for you to know that all this information that I gave is to just provide the foundation and give you an idea of what this two study technique is all about. The fun part about using this study technique into your study routine is that you can be flexible with it. Even though I've given this explanation, you can decide to tweak it into your own individualized needs and apply it as you deem fit, bearing in mind that the nature of your course or what you are studying is actually going to determine the different study method that you are going to use, especially when you are using the active recall study technique. For example, if the nature of your course is more of practicals on the examination day, then you know that the study method that you are going to be using is different. But just bear in mind that the principle guiding active recall and spaced repetition is that try as much as possible to incorporate 3 different study methods when you are studying a single material, and study them at spaced interval until the day of your examination, instead of passively reading the information every time. I don't want to jinx it, but let me just prepare your mind ahead that using the study method is actually going to be rigorous. It requires you to be very disciplined, because it can be very frustrating trying to learn how to use the study technique at first, but I assure you that with continuous practice you are going to get a hang of it, and at the end of the day you are going to get that grand prize, which is getting an A in your particular course. So don't give up. Lastly, I'm going to give you 3 additional YouTube videos, or YouTube channels rather, that I think you should check out on. These three YouTube channels are the channels that I found, and I watched content relating to active recall, Pomodoro study technique, basically all study how to study effectively to improve your grades, and they were very helpful for me. I believe that they will also be very helpful for you. On my list is Anna Masaka. You should check out her channel. Even though the last time she shared something related to active recall and space repetition has been a while, but just check out her channel and try to scroll down or check the playlist and watch all the videos on active recall study technique. It is going to help you greatly. The second on my list is Ali Abdal. If you are someone that is so passionate about being an A student, then you should know Ali Abdal. Check out his channel and try to watch all his videos on getting A's, getting good grades, and improving your study. It will be very helpful. Then the last on my list is Dr. Nella. Dr. Nella is one of the YouTube channel that I found that explained this active recall and space study repetition study technique. Also, she made videos on how she used them during her study hours, so you should check out her channel. I believe that she will be very helpful to you. On a final note, to end this video, the truth is that to become an A student, everybody actually wants to have an A in their course, but the difference is those who actually put in the work. So instead of you wishing every day that you want to have an A in your particular course, why not decide today that you will take the necessary steps to achieve and improve your grade, which is implementing the study techniques that I have shared in today's video. Do the work and you will get the result, and at the end of the day your crown is waiting for you, so don't give up. We've come to the end of today's video. If you enjoyed this video, please do well to give this video a thumbs up, like this video, and please comment. I love your comment, guys. Basically, it was your comment that motivated me to come back and start uploading videos on my YouTube channel, because to be honest, content creation is not easy. So thank you so much for everyone that has been sending in their comments so far. I love to read your comments, so don't be shy to put in your comments and share ideas of what you've learned in the video and also what you want me to film in subsequent videos. And have you subscribed? If you are watching this video and you have not subscribed, please subscribe. It is free. Join the family and click on the notification bell to get notified whenever I upload new videos. Thank you so much for watching this video. See you in my next one. Ciao.